Hi, I'm Bobby, and this is Abby, and we are hosts of the Filling You Up with Hope podcast and Filling You Up with Hope YouTube channel. And we are so glad that you're here. So we're talking about Zacchaeus today.
Yes.
And we are in Luke. We are well into Luke for Lent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're so excited. We're already in week 6. And but we're going to focus on Zacchaeus, which is in Luke 18 or 19. Luke 19. And really focusing on obstacles, on like something that's getting in the way of like a goal.
Yeah.
And like what is getting in the way of our goals, like to be closer to God.
Right.
So for you, like, what do you think some obstacles you face?
I struggle with discontentment.
Mm-hmm.
I do. And I've said that, I'm pretty sure I've said that on this before.
Yeah.
I struggle with wanting so much more.
Yeah.
And I love this house and I love to fix it up, but I would prefer a cabin in the woods and to be a stay-at-home mom and to be a farmer or be married to a rancher, like some whole different lifestyle. I'd even love to live somewhere else, like warmer climate. And I struggle with like daydreaming almost of that, and then that just causes so much discontentment here, and then it makes me feel stuck. And then, to be quite honest, sometimes it makes me a little like sad with God almost, because I'm like, well, why am I not worthy to have that kind of stuff? And I just have to remember, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. But that doesn't make me feel better. You know what I mean?
Yes.
What about you?
Oh, so many. And a lot of times it's time and doing other things when really, like, Mary had it right with Martha and Mary that, she was at Jesus' feet.
Right.
But it's like, sometimes I'd rather, like, sometimes I'm sitting on the couch watching Shark Tank with my kids, which is fun, but it's like I need to remember like what is most important.
Right.
And I'm the same way with my house. My house is so old and there's so many things, and I think about, I want to do this, I want to do that, and all the different things. Like our bathroom is horrible.
Right.
But it's like sometimes I get so distracted by that.
Right.
That it's like I forget what really matters.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
I think, like, when people are like, to be quite honest, right? When people are like, Jesus is all you need. He will fulfill all of your desires.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't understand what that means.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah. Because we want different things, and we think that those things are going to make everything better. Like, if you had, like, the cabin and were a stay-at-home mom and had, like, a lumberjack husband.
I know, that's ridiculous. I would just say that.
And it would, maybe that would make you happy, but the real thing that won't go away, because it's like the things of this earth go away.
Right.
Like, my son... They're fleeting. And my son Tobin, like, his big thing, like, his goal is, like, NBA tickets. And not just any NBA tickets, but Golden State Warrior, front row. This is my 9-year-old who wants this. And the obstacles are, like, we're not spending $20,000 on NBA tickets. And, like, that's all he can see. But in reality, it's fleeting.
Right.
Like, first of all, you could go and your team could lose. You could spend all that money. And also, like, it's basketball. Like, it's not eternity. Like, Jesus, and I get it. He enjoys it. And I had my things. I loved New Kids on the Block when I was little.
Gosh.
I don't know why.
Oh, my gosh, me too. Hanson. NSYNC.
I would have loved to have gone to one of those. But it's like, we forget, like, all of us, like, I do all the time, like, what's really most important.
Right.
And it fills us because it's everything in this earth, like, it's going to go away.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. Like, I would be happy with a house for a short period of time, but there would be something wrong with that house, or there,
Yes.
a husband and I will fight, or like you said about Tobin's basketball tickets, like he'll be on a high for a while, but you're right, the only thing.
Then he'll want more too.
Yeah.
Because we want more and more, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So then he'll be like, I need to go. Exactly. I have to meet Steph Curry. That's already part of his, like, fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so cute. I don't know, like, when you were 9, would you ever thought of that kind of stuff?
No. Oh, but so now we're just gonna read from Luke 19.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is Luke 19, and it starts, well, I guess we can start at 1. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, "He has gone to be the guest of a sinner." But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anyone out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount." Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man, too, is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." That's such a beautiful story.
Yes. So amazing. And now we're going to go through it verse by verse because there's so much in it. All right. So starting with 19:1, that Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through town. Yeah. Which is like just thinking about how little time left he has on earth.
Right.
Is because he's on his way to Jerusalem and
right. And he stops and takes time.
Yeah.
Which sometimes we don't do.
Yeah. Yes. And still is paying attention, not to, like, I think a lot of us would be dreading, like, this is going to happen, because he knows what's going to happen to him.
Yeah.
But he still, even though he knows that this horrible thing has to happen to him, he is still, like, connecting to people.
Yeah, and he's not consumed with his destiny.
Oh, yeah.
Which
it makes me feel so selfish.
I know.
Because I just had a little thing happen at work today, and I let it, like, take over. And he has this huge thing that he knows is going to happen, that he's going to die for us. And he's still loving people, connecting them to them, and he's not, like, consumed by himself like the human nature can be.
Right. Oh gosh, yeah. I'm self-consumed with my self-imposed issues, and, like, not even wow, that was so good.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. So we just need to, like, take that in, and, like, because I think that, at least me, when I have a problem, I can let it take over, and then I'm not, like, connecting with people, I'm not connecting with God.
Yeah. I have even the tendency of, like last night I had the craziest dreams.
Yeah.
And it consumed my day. Like, it made me fearful.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
And it was a dream. It wasn't even a real thing.
Yes.
And it was so out there, crazy. Like, this is going to sound insane, but I was riding in the back seat of an SUV, and I suddenly turned into a beauty queen, but, like, a black lady. Like, I was a black lady, but I was absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Like, so, but, like, things had happened in the dream that made me fearful, and when I woke up, I knew it wasn't real, because, I'm not a beauty queen. Or, but still, that consumes you.
It does. And and they're obstacles, right?
Right.
Like, our dreams are problems that we face every day. And here's Jesus facing this huge obstacle, and he's still connecting and loving.
Right.
Like, what an example.
Yeah.
Like, because he was facing, like, the biggest obstacle.
Right. Oh, that was super convicting.
Mm.
Okay, so there you go. There's our podcast for today. Line 1.
It's a short one. Oh.
A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus, and he was a chief tax collector and was wealthy,
Mm-hmm.
which essentially means that he was like one of the most despised people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And that wealth, like, was his obstacle, right? Or maybe other obstacles too, but that, like, his life was money.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and he was despised.
Yeah.
So he couldn't just go out and like
Mm-hmm.
hang out with the people, you
Yes.
know, and so I'm sure even getting there would have been an obstacle.
Oh, that's so
Not
true.
even just
Yeah.
seeing Jesus, but getting to where Jesus was going to be
Yeah.
was an obstacle. I'm
Yeah.
certain of it.
Yeah, because tax collectors cheated people, right?
Right.
So the people might not have liked that.
Yeah. No, yeah, they wouldn't have liked him, and they
Mhm.
would have made it even harder for him, I would assume.
Yeah, but something brought him there.
Right.
Yeah.
A mustard seed somewhere was planted for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So amazing. It makes me think about, like, when I opened my heart to Jesus, you know, and it's like just something happened that, you know, my doubts, because I'd always had doubts because my mom was Jewish
Right.
and she died when I was young, so I would always think, like, she's Jewish, is she going to hell? And I mean, you know, or did she go
Right.
to hell? I mean, and I had that internal conflict
Yeah.
about that, and when I found Jesus, it was very weird. Like, those doubts just went away, and I just wanted to turn to him.
Mm.
And it's like, so something with Zacchaeus, like, he just wanted to be there for some reason, you know?
Yeah.
Even with his obstacles. Mm-hmm.
He probably knew that there was something better out there than
Mm-hmm.
like a meaningless life that he was living.
Yes.
And that's basically what brought me to Jesus is
Mhm.
there's got to be a better purpose.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's good.
Yep. He was trying, verse 3, he was trying to see who Jesus was, but being a short man, he couldn't because of the crowd.
Yeah. I mean, that's another, he had hurdles,
Yes.
right? More hurdles. So, like, he had
Mhm.
hurdles of getting there, and then he couldn't even see because he was too short.
Yeah. Which I can so relate to, because, like, if I go to concerts or anything, like, I'm
Right.
not tall at all, and I get so frustrated if there's, like, this, you know, a big, tall person in front of me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I
blocking
can
your
relate
view.
to him.
Yeah.
I can relate to him.
Yeah. I mean, but he had hurt, like,
yes.
even believing Jesus, I would assume, right? It was, I'm sure there's hidden meaning to this more
Yes.
than what we can see.
Yes.
But,
It's symbolic that he had, like, wealth obstacles,
right,
and he had physical
right.
obstacles,
Yeah.
you know?
Love of money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's good. Okay.
Yes. Ooh. Okay.
4 is, so he ran ahead and
Mm-hmm.
climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way.
Oh,
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Like, this is a grown man
Yeah.
running and climbing a tree.
Right. Well, so, and in our notes here, it says mustard seed of faith.
Yes.
He had just that tiniest little faith. Like, so he didn't want Jesus to see him because he climbed a sycamore tree, and if
Yeah.
you Google them, they're very full and lush
Yes.
trees. But
Yeah.
he had like just a little bit of interest.
Yes.
You know, he wanted to see what all the fuss was about.
Yeah. And it's like eagerness. Like, I see this, like, theme. Like, the same thing with Mary. Like,
Yeah.
her eagerness. And, like, the woman who was bleeding who just wanted to touch
Right.
Jesus. It's like the people who just know that just seeing him or feeling him, like, that's what their soul needs.
Right. Mm.
You know, and that's what he wanted, like, just to see him. Like, I hope that I would be climbing the tree.
How
Although that would be bad. I'd be horrible at climbing a tree.
Yeah.
That would be very bad, but
how amazing would it have been to live in the time where you got to actually touch and feel Jesus?
yeah. Oh.
Like, we have the Holy Spirit inside of us.
Yes.
Which is amazing. But I just can't, I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah.
And like in the flesh and like touch him and like hold him, you know?
Yes. Yep. And we all have different visions. Like I was listening to this video about what Jesus might have looked like, because I always envision the long hair, like I just do in my mind.
Yeah.
And like the typical Jewish person back then, like had short hair, you know. So
that's true. Yeah. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but it was like his spirit.
Yeah.
You know, something about him made people like eager and like just wanting to be near him, like magnetic.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, his personality, even though we don't see it, right?
Yes.
It's still magnetic. There's something that draws you, or people in general, to Jesus.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know?
Mhm. Yeah.
It's just,
I
don't know.
Yeah.
His
Which
love.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and I just love that he's, you know, a grown man, a tax collector, this like serious man, like running and climbing a tree.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It is. It's nice. I mean, it's beautiful.
It is.
It's a beautiful thing.
And it's childlike, and like in Luke 18, you know, there's the whole allow the children to come to me, and like the eagerness of children, right?
Right. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, is have childlike faith.
Yeah. And that's what and childlike faith. Like, how amazing is the Bible? Yeah. Childlike faith in 18. And then in 19, like, he's running and climbing a tree.
Yeah.
Which maybe that was normal adult behavior back then. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
You can
now
comment and
get
tell
up
us.
On their pickup truck or something. You know, I don't know. Like, what would we do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now we're on 5. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. I love that.
I love it so much. Yeah. I loved, like, first of all, that he calls them by name.
Right.
Like, he knows our names.
Right. Yeah, they've never met. Like, you know, I mean, at least this doesn't say in here, but obviously, like, Jesus is God, you know? Like,
yes. It's so amazing. Like, he knows you, Bobby, like me, Abby, all of everyone who's listening. Like, he knows our names.
Right.
Like, when we feel, like, unheard and unseen, which we all feel sometimes.
Right.
Like, he knows us by name.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just like you said, eagerness before, he looked up and said, like, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today.
Yeah.
You know?
Ooh, it's the urgency again.
And he does.
Yeah.
You know, in 6. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly.
Yeah. Yes.
It's
and
like,
can you imagine, like, Jesus wanting to be in your house?
I know. I'd be so embarrassed. No. But yes, I mean, I'm sure the embarrassment of whether you have dirty dishes in the sink is got to be, like, poof, right?
Yes.
Because all you want to do is sit at his feet.
Yeah. But then I spend so much of my time, like, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, like, I have mail piled up, I have this to clean, when it's like, that's not what matters.
Right.
You know?
Right. You're right. It is. We spend so much time, like, worrying about laundry and all that, and tomorrow isn't promised, and nor do I want it to be promised, you know, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I mean, and just his urgency to even come down out of the tree to follow Jesus just goes to show, like, that's why we need to spread the message and spread the gospel, because Zacchaeus had to have heard about Jesus, right? Or else this whole thing wouldn't have transpired.
Yeah.
That's why the power of our speaking to other people about Jesus is so important. Because Jesus will just call your name and you will go. Yeah.
And we never know what he's going to do, right?
Right.
And so you talking about Jesus, like, you might not know in that day how that affected that person.
Right.
It might be months or years later.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was like, it had to have been 2010 when Mary Stice sat me down on her living room couch in Missouri, right?
Yes.
Super random, this whole thing. And she asked me, who is Jesus to you? Do you know who Jesus is? And I can remember being like, Jesus? What are you talking about? And that stuck with me forever, you know? I just, at that point, like, she told me about him, and I was like, I want to get to know him. But then, like, I fell away from that and then came back. But you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he could have even overheard somebody talking about Jesus, Zacchaeus did. And that just caused him to just know, you know?
Which is amazing. And it's just like the little things sometimes. Like I talked about before when, like, these people giving me a Bible translation that fit me better, and that changed my life, because that when I tried to read the Bible before, it was the King James version,
right?
I think, and it was hard for me to read, and now I read the Bible, and it's like I can take it in, and that changes your life when you can do that.
Yes. And
that's
I don't think
God.
any of us spend enough time in our Bible.
Yes, for sure. Yep. Because we're worried about, like, the to-do lists in our head, you know.
And we're easily distracted.
Yeah.
This is pretty convicting.
It is.
I guess we're talking about this. Oh my gosh. All right. So now we're on 7, right?
At 6.
Okay.
So Zacchaeus came down at once, happy to welcome Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
I love that.
His whole life changed right there.
Yep. And he was happy to welcome him. He wasn't like, I have to do this first to let Jesus in my house.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. He didn't at one time think, I am not good enough. Or anything, you know, or we at least don't know. But
yeah. It's without hesitation. Like, we have hesitations sometimes. Like, you want me to do this, God, but I'm not ready, but I'm scared, or whatever our hesitations are, when, like, what we're seeing here is he's just following, right? Without the hesitation.
Yeah, like you said earlier, obstacles.
Yes.
Like, your obstacle of, like, the sound of your voice, like, on here, you know, could have put us off from doing this.
Yeah.
But we're blindly following Jesus. What is what we're supposed to do?
Yeah. Yes, it's leaving your comfort zone.
Right.
Because, like, those obstacles are scary, and we can't do it alone, but with God, like, we can face those obstacles and do what he calls us to do. And just trust. Like the trust falling thing, which I am not good at. It's like, just, that's what it seems like he's doing. He's just, like, trusting and letting him in.
Yeah. That's hard. That's good. 7, all the people saw this and began to mutter, he has gone to be the guest of a sinner. I don't know. I struggle because they were just so adamant about catching Jesus in something, you know, or not wanting a better life. You know, they're just so prideful, and they just wanted him to stop.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't care about the lowly people. They just cared about themselves.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And then, like, we do it sometimes, or at least I do, you know? Like, we can all be like the Pharisees sometimes and be grumbling. Like, I feel like I grumble too much, and I want to, like, connect to what is good.
Yeah.
And it's easy to say that, but then we have obstacles. Like, we face those situations where we want to grumble.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's like turning to God instead of grumbling and praying to him about it, because I just want to. I call it venting.
Right.
But I'm grumbling,
Yeah, I mean, I do that to you all the time. I do. And maybe alright, so I don't know why. I was just thinking this, but maybe instead, like when we call each other, and whoever's listening maybe can practice this too.
Yeah.
But for every like one grumbling or venting, we should at least say like 2 positives.
Yes. Oh, that's a really good idea.
And like hold each other accountable. Because sometimes I need you to be like, okay, you got to vent. Now tell me 2 good things that are happening right now.
Yes.
Or that could come out of this bad situation or whatever.
Oh, that's so amazing. That's such a good idea. Because there's always positive there.
Right.
Like Mr. Rogers has the sweetest quote like about like violence. And he said like, look out for the helpers. There's always the helpers. Even when there's like, something horrible happening, like the horrible like school shooting that happened this week. If you look, there's people helping. It's one of, like, I think the principal or headmaster or whatever of the school, like, died protecting, right?
Yeah.
And there's always helpers. So trying to hold on to that, but there is so much pain.
Yeah.
In this world.
Yeah, there is.
And even with all that pain, like Zacchaeus, like still like wanted to see Jesus.
Right. Yeah. Because Jesus doesn't promise us a better life, right? He doesn't. Yes. It's not the prosperity gospel, which I have to preach to myself all the time. This is not the prosperity gospel.
Yeah.
It's more than that.
It's not about things.
Right.
It's like, it's about our hearts and turning to Him.
It's not about a husband, Bob. It's not about a husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
But maybe God's put that on your heart because that's what He has in store for you.
Well, let's all hope. However, that's not what it is. And like I need to focus on Jesus, and that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Just like Zacchaeus.
Yeah.
He knew he needed to focus on Jesus.
Yes. He knew, and it's a gift that it's in here so we can learn from it.
Yeah.
And try and have the eagerness.
Right.
Of him.
Yeah.
And of Mary, and yeah.
Alrighty.
So now it's 8.
Yeah. But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount."
Yes. Sorry for the dogs talking.
Our podcast dog sitter was off walking. Just kidding. Brooks is doing a great job.
Yes, and it's like in James in our church that we're reading, like it talking about how we have to be doers of the word. Right. It's like he took in like Jesus and then
good point.
Wanted to do something, like I'm giving away half of what I own.
Right. Well, and that didn't mean he was then, like, everyone says, not everyone, but it's a common misconception that if you're going to be a Christian, you can't have wealth. Well, this man was probably so wealthy that giving away half his wealth did not make him poor. It did not make him destitute. But just the fact that he uses his wealth to bless others.
Yes. And that it's in his heart to want to do that.
Exactly.
Like the old widow, I forget what chapter in Luke it is, who like only has a penny to her name and gives it, and gives it to help other people in need.
Yeah.
It's like the heart of wanting to do that.
Yeah, that was a good point you put together with James. Like, being doers of the word, because he didn't even like let time pass, and he was doing of the word. Whereas that the wealthy man earlier on walked away from Jesus because that was like too much to give up.
Yes, yeah, like his identity was like in his things,
right?
So he couldn't give them up because that's where his identity is,
right.
And Jesus wants our identity to be in him.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was good.
Mhm. Yeah.
Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man, too, is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." That's like my favorite line, I think, or one of my favorite lines.
Yes. To seek and save the lost. Yeah. Because we're all lost, right?
Right.
And
I just read 2. Sorry.
Oh,
I just couldn't stop. I was
that's
like, oh my God. Yeah.
Mhm.
His heart was changed. Like, Zacchaeus' heart was changed. And he had repented by saying he's going to give away half of his wealth.
And it's so deep. Like, think about this. Abraham, Jewish, like, all of the stars are going to be his descendants, right?
Right.
The Pharisees, like, feel like they're descendants of Abraham. And now this sinner is a descendant of Abraham.
Right.
Like, that's big. They were probably like, what?
Yeah, I know. What did he do to deserve it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what we'd be like in certain areas of our lives, right? Like, why does this person get to do this?
Right. Well, and a lot of times, people are, like, the guy that sits next to me at work, his obstacle is always the same. Like, well, why am I going to do this now? I'll wait until I'm on my deathbed and then claim Jesus as my Savior.
But we never know.
But
like,
we
it
never
says,
know.
yeah, that was in Luke somewhere, too, that we never know when our time is.
Right. Well, right, exactly. And I mean, I said that to him, too, and he said that I was right. But,
yeah.
Well, he said that Jesus was right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, a little pride there. But, you know, it's like, you have to turn away from your life. You can't just use it as a backup plan, because that's not actually knowing Jesus. And your life isn't changed until you know Jesus.
Yes. Yep. And then you want to do those things. But I often think, like, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's not works-based love, Abby.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus loves you.
Thank you. It's
reminder. True. Like, you are a gift from God. You have changed my life. Like him, you are a gift for me. I'm using, you know what I mean? But like, I really honestly believe that.
Oh, well, you are too, and how much you love Jesus, and but it is tough, because like there are so many people in need, and
we can't save them all.
Yeah,
Jesus can, and all we can do is spread the word, and spread those mustard seeds.
And you're right. Like it says, the human one came to seek and save the lost. Like he's the one who does the saving, because I think we can get prideful about that too. Like, oh, look at what I did. But it's really never us doing it.
No, it's never us. We're just put in the place where we're supposed to be.
Yes. It's like less of us, more of him. And I feel him telling me, because I feel overwhelmed and like I need more sometimes. And I feel him telling me, like, you have everything you need. Yeah. Like, I have my Bible, I have him, and, like, you know, really, we have everything that we need.
Yeah. Yeah, we absolutely do. And it says that over and over and over again in our Bible. And it's just understanding the depth of that.
Yeah.
And like me, I can get stuck in the, I don't have everything I need. I need the newest this, or I need a bigger house, or I never want a bigger house because it's too much to clean. But, you know, like I want a nicer house, or I want this dream I have. But that'll never satisfy us. It'll never satisfy.
Ooh. We're seeking.
Yes.
We're trying to seek and find things to, like, make us feel better.
Right.
You know?
And that is the way of the world.
Yes.
And we're not of the world.
Yeah.
We're just living here.
Yeah. But we are all seeking, right? We're seeking purpose.
Right.
And we want to feel, like, peace in this crazy world. And, like he's the answer. Like, that's...
He will never leave us. Yeah.
And it's more than just this earth.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we get through, like, really hard things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just keep coming back to that because at first I'm like, he too is a son of Abraham, like what? But then when you really take that in, and how beautiful. Like we always say countercultural, like their culture of he's a sinner, like this tax collector, he's a dirty person, like we can't go near him, we can't associate with him, like I think of like excommunicated, like shunned, you know?
Yeah.
And here he is, like connecting, touching, eating with, which is a very like close thing to do with somebody.
Right.
Right. And they're like, he's going against everything. Right. He's going against society. And And I think it's so big for me. Like, tell me what you think, because I'm a people pleaser, and he is being who he is, and connecting with people, and he's not trying to please the Pharisees.
Right. No, you're right. He's not. He doesn't stand like people pleasing, and I am one of the worst ones too. But like people pleasing, I read this somewhere. I don't remember where, but is a form of like selfishness, kind of.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
because
I think so.
and because you want people to like you, but that means you're like not standing for the truth of Jesus.
Yes, you're putting people liking you in front of Jesus. It's another obstacle, right? You're, like wanting people to like you, getting in the way. Like Jesus is like this beautiful prize, and like these are all these different things in the way, like wealth, all of these different wants and desires that we have that are away from him.
Right.
And
it's as we're talking, I was thinking about the Pharisees and the common misconception about you have to have your life in order and be perfect in order for Jesus, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, that's such a, in today's world as well, right? Like, there's such a common misconception today. And Jesus just, like, people, for, like, at work, people will be like, oh, the Christian girl swore. And I'm like, well, Jesus came to save sinners.
Yeah.
I'm a sinner. He didn't come for, like, the perfect person. He came to change our hearts.
Yes.
Yep. And God uses us to show that. Like, he uses my imperfections to show others probably that he's here for them too.
Yeah. It's so true. Because if we were perfect, like, why would we need him?
Right. Yeah.
We're like, it's seek and save the lost. Like, we're lost sheep.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have it all together.
No. No. And
that's for sure.
No. And we have to repent. We have to repent and turn. And we cannot even change our hearts by ourselves.
No.
Right? We have to ask God to help us change. We can change with God.
Yeah. We can't do it ourselves, but with God.
Right.
And there's so much hope, like, in what you're saying, that, like, this was not a perfect man.
No.
This was, like, a tax collector, sinner, right? Just like all of us. Like, it makes some pressure go down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, because what really, and by pressure go down, it doesn't mean that, oh, yeah, I can sin.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's okay if my laundry isn't done. It's okay if my room is messy and, like, if I haven't, I don't know, exercised today or whatever.
Right.
If I am, like, turning to him and reading my Bible and feel close to him, like, that is a good day.
Yeah.
Even if I have 3 loads of laundry that I need to do.
Right. Well, even if you snap at your husband,
Yes.
Or I snap at my sister, or you know what I mean? Like, even if we sin, as long as our heart belongs to Jesus and we know, like, we ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
We can't say, well, I know that this is a sin, so I'm going to rob the bank anyway, and then ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah.
That's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that is not the same at all.
No. and we repent because we do, like, we're earthly. Like,
Right.
we, like we always talk about that we're surrounded by it.
Right.
But we have someone who came to save and seek the lost, which, like, what a gift.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited about just focusing on Jesus this week 7 of our going through Luke and reading chapters 20, 21, 22, and 23 and 24. It's a lot, but I kind of purposely wanted to do that because this is Holy Week.
Yeah.
Like, this is a week that's important to Christians, and we forget that Easter isn't just about bunnies and Easter egg hunts, which is funny. My son Brooks is here. He hates Easter egg.
He does?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he doesn't like Easter egg hunts. And which is funny, but it's about Jesus,
it is.
right? And it's about the pain that he had to go through and the empty tomb.
Right.
That's what. And so it's good to be reading all of this week because that's a good thing to be doing this week.
Yeah. Well, and Easter or Good Friday, it's like we're attending a funeral, and it's beautiful. I hate to say that, but it's beautiful to attend Jesus's funeral because we do know what's happening. We do know what's to come.
That's amazing. That's such a thing to focus on, and I was supposed to work next Friday, and I'm I'm not working, because I told my clients I'm not working. Yeah. Because I want to focus on him.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want, because of all the obstacles that we're talking about, and what in your life, those of you who are listening, we all have things that are getting in the way, and this is a good week to think about, what's something that's getting in the way, kind of like Lent, but really we can do that all the time. It doesn't have to be just during Lent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we should be doing it all the time. We should be asking God to point out where we're failing, which is really scary to do because your life will change. But it's a beautiful process. It's hard because I'm in it right now.
Yeah.
I pray that all of the time. Show me where I'm sitting, because oftentimes we can be like, I am there, I've made it, I am God, but no, we're just ask God, he'll tell you. You have not.
Yep. Yes. But we're so thankful for you and for listening to this podcast, and we hope that you just have a beautiful week focusing on Jesus and all he's done for us and how he came to seek and save.
Yeah. And let us reach out and let us know that you're listening to this.
Yes.